And that's I was really glad that I picked that one up this year. It's the only jazz album to make the top 10 for me this year. And then Jeff Tweedy released a solo album. Right. Sort of. It was the year of Tweedy, I guess. You get the memoir, which I have yet to read, but have a copy of sitting there. And then just a few weeks later, this album drops, and it's a solid album. I was I had no expectations, no idea what it was going to be. I had heard the first single, which was kind of sounded like it would have fit well into the Tweedy album that he did a few years back. But it's called Warm, and it sounds very warm. Yeah. It's very, some of it's very comfortable, but there also is there's definitely a kind of dark theme running through there of his wife had been dealing with breast cancer, and there's kind of this he's never been somebody who shied away from exploring mortality, and this is pretty steeped in it. There's definitely more philosophical bent to it. It's more akin to lyrically, I feel like it's more akin to his like poetry side, where he had that collection Adult Head out a number of years back, and so there's not, even though there's definitely some pop sound to it, and because he's playing all the instruments except for drums, and he does play drums on one track, but otherwise he does all the instruments, and he's a gifted musician, but limited in playing ability, I think. I wish I were as limited as he is, but it's a really solid album. It didn't, I thought it might have ranked higher. It didn't. It's fine. And it's, he doesn't, it doesn't feel like, these are Wilco outtakes. It feels like this is a strong album. I don't, you can see, it's not like an Eddie Vedder ukulele songs kind of thing. It's right. It's which I have an appreciation for that album. I like it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it's definitely its own thing. It never. I mean, maybe some of those songs would have trickled into a Wilco album there, here and there, but it's definitely, you can see why it's a Jeff Tweedy solo, and it feels like a lot of him dealing with some inner stuff, like and so then also why you would see why that might not be Wilco material. So it's interesting to see him getting out there more and more, doing stuff outside of Wilco. And there's always that concern that, well, is Wilco going to get back and do an album? And I don't know, who knows? But if he kept doing stuff like this, I'd be fine.
Well, interesting you mentioned too that it sounds like it could stand on its own, like it's not just him just doing a Wilco album without the other guys.
Yeah, exactly. Thing. And it's also not like, I'm just going to do a bunch of acoustic songs. And again, having said that, he put that album out. Was that earlier this year too? It might have been late last year, where it was just he covered. He just did acoustic renditions of some old Wilco songs, I think some Uncle Tupelo was in there too, but it's worth it if you're a Wilco fan, if you're a Jeff Tweedy fan in particular. Like if you liked the stuff he did with Jim O'Rourke, I feel like as Loose Fur, it felt kind of like that vibe to me, where he just didn't feel like he had to do traditionally structured songs. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
but not as structureless as, let's say, like that Cause, for example.
Yeah. You
heard the new one this year, right?
No.
Oh man.
No, I after basically, seriously, after seeing him live, I was like, I'm done. He played something off of a forthcoming album that was like 13 minutes long of just some essentially like talking about going about his day.
It really is. Yeah, it's like someone took a status update, being like, like had a roast beef sandwich.
Yeah,
went to the gym, but like soundtracks that for like 10 minutes.
I know, and he started doing that a few years ago, and I followed it for a while, and it just kept getting more. And he just, I don't know. I'd read something about how he has just decided that he's beyond pop music now, and beyond like writing things with choruses, and I don't know, whatever.
Like
Mark Kozilek, you do you. That's fine. That's
yeah. and I do respect the fact that the guy is just trying to find like it's not something a lot of people do. I mean, and some of his more recent work has been interesting up to this point, but
yeah,
the latest one, what really turned off the album is a lot of it basically lamenting about his sex life.
Oh.
Him being like, when I was young, I'd crush ass all the time. Album. So many songs are about that. And I'm just like, dude, I don't care. That's like the most banal fucking subject to me. Some old dude being like, man, I can't get as much as I used to. It's like, dude, go away.
Yeah.
Seriously, go away.
It's like Tom Waits sang in Nighthawks at the Diner about the guys bragging about being able to get more ass than a toilet seat. I'm done with it. I still have all the Red House Painter stuff, and I have a lot of his solo stuff, but it's just he became insufferable to me.
That's how I feel about Kanye West.
Yeah,
I love Kanye, but this is definitely the year where I'm like, I cannot even begin to defend this guy anymore. Yeah, I just can't do it.
Out. Yeah.
Oof.
All right, sir.
All right,
Over
so I
to
guess
you.
I'll do a quick duo. Number 8 would be a group from New York called Bodega.
Okay.
They put an album this year called Endless Scroll, and actually, Jeff Moses, if you're listening, what's up, Jeff? Yeah, he turned me on to them. They're an interesting group. They kind of sonically. The one group that I'd parallel them to would probably be like Parquet Courts.
Oh, okay.
So they're kind of like that kind of New York hipster guitar band kind of aesthetic, where all the songs are kind of fast jangles mostly. But what I love about that album is that it's very much a lyrics album, and a lot of the songs dealing with like it's one of those albums where like if you want to be kind of cliched, like it kind of sums up what it's like to live in the modern world. Right? They're songs about social media and the anxiety of always being on, like how even like expressing like positive political opinions can be performative at this point. And a lot of the songs are about that, and that's what I come back to, because the honest fact is, even though I'm a writer, like when I listen to music, lyrics are secondary to me.
Oh, really?
In most cases, yes. Like to me, like my favorite band of all time, for example, is My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah,
which is a group where lyrics, I mean, it doesn't matter what they're singing. Like it's almost
the
pure sound.
Yeah.
So an album like Advanced Bass, for example, that album is particularly memorable to me because that's an album where it is the lyrics that make the album so great. So, and something like Bodega is the same thing. Like, yeah, the songs themselves are tuneful and catchy, but it's the lyrical content that keeps me coming back to those songs.
That's interesting.
So that's why it's so high on my list, because most albums, like, even groups I love a lot, like, yeah, lyrics to me are just not, like, the main thing I listen for.
I used to be the exact opposite, where lyrics were everything to me. I would go to an album based on the lyrical quality, and I'm much more about, okay, how does this, what is the sound trying to do? I still am a lyrics guy. I don't know that that'll ever go away, but I've become a lot more interested in what they're trying to do overall with that kind of soundscape and what they're presenting sonically.
Oh yeah. And I felt, to me too, it also, when I started kind of accepting that about my listening habits, it opened me to genres like metal, for example, where most metal, you can't really understand what they're saying.
Right.
Especially modern metal, like, it's mostly just screeching at this point.
Yeah.
So if you hung up on lyrics, like, yeah, you basically miss what you're listening to in the first place.
Right.
But again, like, there are exceptions. There are definitely groups that I go out and I listen to because, like, again, like, Dave Berman. Like, I love the Silver Jews because the lyrics are just pure fucking genius.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just that opening line, the random rules, like, I was hospitalized as 1984 for purchasing perfection. It's like one of the greatest opening lines anyone can conceive of.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bodega is definitely. I mean, lyrically to me, it's one of the finest written albums of the year. It definitely talks a lot about what it's like to deal with modern anxiety, but it's also a funny album too, where it mocks a lot of these conventions. So.
Huh. Yeah, that you mentioned Parquet Courts briefly. That album was up there for me this year too. It didn't quite make the cut, but
they're one of those groups where they almost release so much you just kind of forget. They almost have like the rapper problem, like groups like Young Thug, where they put out like 10 mixtapes in a year.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you're just like, please stop.
Yeah.
Stop giving me material.
Yep.
Let me listen to the last one first.
Exactly. I haven't absorbed that. Yeah.
The other album, I guess the other album for my twofer would be by Sophie, who's an electronic producer. I think she's based in the UK. It's a trance performer, but she makes music that the album's called Oil of Every Pearl's Unsides, which is kind of a strange title. Mm-hmm. But the music sounds like the best comparison I can make is that if Sophie was a producer in the 90s, Bjork would have worked with her in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Because the music, it feels like it's been like teleported from like 20 years in the future. If the earth hasn't been swallowed in fire and water, like this is what they're listening to in the future. Like it's like dance music, but it's incredibly warped and strange. Like it's almost like I think of like going to like a museum and you see those abstract like partially melted metal sculptures.
Oh, yeah.
And that musically is what it sounds like to you. Those are like the images that pop into my head when I listen to it. Like it sounds like somebody basically setting their synthesizer on fire. So you have all like these gurgles, these incredible beats, but it's music that sounds like it's falling apart and warping around itself.
Oh, wow.
So, but it's incredibly, but it still has like these sensual qualities, and it's still like yeah, it's aggressive, but there's moments of really profound lyrical beauty just in the sound of the songs. So it's something that, like, for anyone who likes electronic music or likes Aphex Twin or that sort of thing, like, I would definitely recommend the Sophie album. It has a lot going for it.
All right. Okay. Snail Mail.
Oh, yes.
Lush. That's
beautiful record.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, it's just it's almost like a nostalgia kind of sounding album to me. It takes me back to in some spots like a Mazzy Star kind of quality to it. But there's definitely something fresh brought to it. It's also I like that album lyrically, and she's got just a gorgeous voice too.
But yeah, almost like a Liz Ferry quality too, in terms of kind of lyrical like edge to it.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the reasons for another. Once we get to the top, we'll discuss it. But that's one of the reasons for another one of my picks this year. Actually, kind of a couple of them I liked. My top 10 is pretty much predominantly female artists this year. There's just I just gravitated towards these albums for some reason, but yeah, it's one of those where a lot of the male artists that I would listen to or put out stuff similar to things that I like or that I might like just kind of bored me. I don't know.
It's kind of true. I think if you're looking for like good guitar centric music in 2018, it's mostly the ladies who are bringing quality jams. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Oh,
back to you.
Well, this next one, this is a caveat. This is definitely probably the most obscure thing on the list by a wide margin. But a group from England called Rollo Tomasi, called "Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It."
Huh.
And I heard about it because
it's a great title.
Oh, it's a great title, yeah. But I heard about it because Stereo Gum, which is a blog I follow a lot, they did like a top metal album, top albums of the year so far a few months back, and they listed that album in the middle of their write up. And in the description sounded really fascinating to me, so I kind of looked it up because I knew nothing about the band. But they started as like this kind of hardcore group in England, and then they started like branching out sonically like in like 5 different directions.
Huh.
So the album is a combination of like, it starts off almost as new age music where they like these really lush like soundscapes, and then it turns into like kind of this anthemic, almost like Evanescence style music where you have these clean female vocals that are very like to the rafters, and then it turns into a black metal album for large portions.
Oh,
of
weird.
It. So it's this incredible combination of like hardcore punk, like experimental, like kind of like krautrocky rocky like soundscapes, and like incredibly like symphonic and devastatingly loud metal music.
Huh.
And the lyrics in the vocal qualities will shift from like kind of clean melodious vocals to like kind of the kind of stuff too. But it's an incredible album. I remember like I listened to it back in November when I went to. I was coming out from Tucson because I had to go to All Souls procession they do there.